Alright, here we are back on the launch pad. We have a new rocket here along the same familiar designs we've been working with. And again, this is just kind of a quick, easy launch vehicle, which is why I tend to use it. The purpose of this vehicle is to gain a couple of points of science, but its main idea is actually to see what we are capable of with our rocket designs. So here we have the same principal rocket we've been using. These two rockets will fire. When they are extinguished, they will jettison off. These two rockets will take over. They will fire, hopefully get us up to about the 12-kilometer mark. They will jettison off. Our main rocket will fire. We are going to aim to get into an orbit at 270-degree heading, opposite of how we've normally been doing with the 90. Hopefully we'll have enough fuel left over to not only establish an orbit, but then burn out of it, which will give us a good idea of a thrust to weight ratio that we'll need to maintain, and just how much fuel we can count on needing to bring with us so that we're not bringing too much extra, but at the same time having enough in case something shouldn't go perfectly. Once we deburn and enter the atmosphere, we will jettison everything except for the capsule and the parachute, and that will bring us home. Some things to note is we're actually going to try to see about recovering parts of the vessel that are not attached to a command pod. So shortly after launch, we will take a science reading using our Science-tron Junior. We will then time it so that we jettison it at the same time as the first two rockets. We will deploy the parachute. We will remove it from our rocket. It will fall away, and then we will jettison these two boosters. They hopefully won't hit each other. This will float gently back to the Earth, or back to Kerbin, where we can recover it for some scientific data. Along those same lines, we have two goo pods here, which we will use to gain. It's honestly science we've already done, so it won't be worth very much, but we want to see whether or not we can put a science experiment on top of a rocket, if it will still be recoverable, and also to see if these two parachutes here will open on their own on a vessel that has no power, and if they are enough to slow the descent of the rocket enough to keep the experiment intact, because that could become useful at some point down the line. So without further ado, we will launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have our main ignition. We're going to go ahead and take our science reading now. 17.5. We'll keep that. The chute. We're going to decouple. We're going to decouple those. I'm really hoping that chute opens. Coming up to 10 kilometers. 12-kilometer mark, we're going to start pitching over. It has taken us a long while to get the angle, but there we go. Going to fire our secondary rocket. Very little control over that. Keep an eye on the apoapsis. Apoapsis. I'll say that right eventually. I'm gonna just guide my Keep it close to 0 to really expand this parabola. We've used a little over half of our fuel. 125, I should be able to cut it. Now it's good to point out that our rocket is pretty light, given we don't have any experiments on board. It is just the capsule and a pretty powerful engine. That would be us crossing the boundary into a suborbital flight. About 3 minutes until we get to our next burn. We don't want to get too on top of it, but at about 1 minute and 15 seconds, we'll get ready. We'll do about a 30% power. Zoom out to watch the ring grow. Hopefully this won't exceed much beyond 160. I don't want it to get too large on us, so I'm just going to do this as 2 separate burns. This time we'll execute it at about 1 minute. Do the same amount of power, keeping in mind we're down to less than 100 units of fuel, but it should be enough. Remember, anything below 70 is going to slow us down when we go across, but we'll get that up to about 100, cost us 10 more units of fuel. 179 to 100. And we have established an orbit at a heading of approximately 270 degrees, the opposite way we normally take off. Since we've established an orbit, we are going to switch over to our space center. And we're going to hope... Oh, I never took those goo experiments. That is really sad. The reason we didn't get any science... There is a way to show debris. I just don't remember how to do it. Nope. So apparently that debris did not survive the fall. I don't know if the parachutes didn't open or what happened. Which is a little bit of a shame because that means that this mission had no scientific value at all. order to prevent this from having absolutely zero scientific merit, I am going to try to put us down where I can get another surface sample. Maybe that'll be something. Try to put us down in the highlands. Jebediah quickly becoming a pro. Honestly, I would have preferred to have landed in those mountains than next to them. At least one of us is happy about this. That was well timed. So at least this wasn't a total loss, but all of our mission all of our mission objectives were not a failure. We did establish an orbit, traveling in the opposite direction, and we did return Jebediah Kerman safely back to the planet, which is, of course, going to be our principal objective. So I won't say it was a complete failure, even though I did just say it was a complete failure. But I am disappointed by the results. So we will recover this vessel. And we got 13 science. Not what I was looking for, but still pretty good. If we look at our tech tree, the fuel systems are ultimately what I would like to go for. This fantastic external fuel duct makes my rocket design life so much easier. My favorite launch vehicle utilizes that pretty extensively. We also have our flight controls, which would be useful, advanced rocketry, which would be useful. I mean, all stuff that ultimately we would like to grab. Ability to make probes, advanced SASs, the spaceplane module. So we're going to go ahead and we will research this this will open up our ability to make smaller probes, better control surfaces, and of course our electronics. So that'll be all for this episode, and hopefully the next time it will go more according to the plan.